Now, the Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened global conflict if the White House puts American troops on the ground in Ukraine during his first interview with Western media since the invasion began in 2022.
Well, if somebody has the desire to send regular troops, that would certainly bring humanity to the brink of very serious global conflict. This is obvious. Do the United States need this? What for? Thousands of miles away from your national territory. Don't you have anything better to do?
Fascinatingly, Putin also accused our former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, of scuppering a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine.
Well, let him cancel his decree and enter into negotiations. We have never refused. And the fact that they obeyed the demand or persuasion of Mr. Johnson, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain, seems ridiculous and very sad to me. Because, as Mr. Arakamiya put it, we could have stopped those hostilities with war a year and a half ago already. But the British persuaded us and we refused this. Where is Mr. Johnson now? And the war continues.
Well, let's get some reaction from the leader of the Ukrainian Golos Party, Kira Rudik, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning. I mean, what's your reaction to what you've seen of this interview so far?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Well, indeed, what we are observing is another way of Putin's propaganda, and there were no expectation that it will be something different. And let's look at it from a very pragmatic way, because I have so many emotional things to say about that. But in a pragmatic way, the questions are, why is it interview conducted now, given the hectic situation in the United States? And I'm absolutely sure that it is an attempt to influence this situation in the United States. Why it is being done with this particular journalist, given that generally journalists who are trying to observe the situation clearly are being prosecuted in Russia and being put to jail. And the third, you have heard his narratives. There is nothing new there. He is threatening to destroy the world and saying that Ukraine is not a nation at all. But what is most important, he is trying to persuade all the viewers that he is ready for negotiations. Well, I can tell you this is a lie. And you know, Stephen, how I know that this is a lie? Because I have a definite proof of that. Recently, there was an attack on Kiev and my home was attacked as well. And I have 7 bags of shattered glass on my backyard of my destroyed home. And this is a definite proof that Putin does not want peace and does not want negotiation, because what he intends to do is only to kill all of us.
Do you, what is your reaction to the fact that he is giving an interview at all? You question the journalist, and I think lots of Western journalists question the particular journalist who's done this interview. Is it not a good idea to actually sometimes speak to your enemy to find out what's on their mind and the way they see things from their perspective?
But why do you need a perspective of a rapist that is coming to rape you, or a murderer that is coming to murder you? Like, what's of their perspective that is going to help you survive? What is of their perspective that would actually help you? And let me ask you, Anne, what is of this interview that is a new information that can help us? I did not hear anything new other than the narratives that Putin has already used and the threats that he's already done and the things that he's already said. I think it will be very dangerous because this interview would definitely try to influence the next US elections, and not the way they were trying to influence the elections beforehand, but in a very open way.
How worrying is that, though? Because from your perspective, there is an argument to say, because there is this relationship between Putin and Trump, perhaps Trump is someone who could actually persuade him to stop what he's doing.
Well, but it's not only that we need is for Putin to stop what he's doing. What we need is for him to answer for those crimes. We need justice as well. We need all the war criminals who raped, murdered, tortured, and cut people's hands and legs to be prosecuted. Are we getting that from someone who knows Putin and can talk to Putin? I do not think so. This is not what we heard at all. But the question is, if you start the full-scale invasion and commit all kinds of war crimes from the war crimes list, if you go unpunished, that creates this precedent for all the other dictators in the whole world that you can do that. And then if you know someone and someone knows someone, that you can get away with that. And this is extremely dangerous precedent, not only for the next generations of Ukrainians, but also for the rest of the world.
He also mentioned in this incredibly long interview that he felt that Boris Johnson had spoiled peace talks between himself and your president. Is there any truth to that? What do you know about this?
Well, I have no information about that, rather than if you come to Ukraine, Boris Johnson is remembered here as the first European leader who has come to Ukraine during the full-scale invasion. And he is extremely popular here, starting from people like selling the T-shirts with his name, having a wrap with his name, and having the burgers named after him. So maybe that was what made Putin so angry, and this is why he accused Boris Johnson of breaking the potential peace deal. But he indeed came to Ukraine, and he was indeed very supportive.
Do we need to read that into what Putin is saying then? I mean, the idea of a peace deal presumably would be, from his perspective, from the Kremlin's perspective, a peace deal that gave him what he stopped the fighting, but gave Putin what he wanted.
Absolutely. But there is additional layer to that, additional question to that we started asking since any ideas of the peace deal came up. Who or what in the whole world will make sure that Putin will keep his part of the bargain? Imagine there is a peace deal. Then for 2 years, there is nothing. And then the war starts again. What's going to happen then? And how is it different from what is happening right now? So because we had this so-called peace deal with Putin since 2014, we know absolutely well of where it is going to lead all of us. And this is not what we can afford, not after everything what happened.
What do you think President Zelensky's reaction is going to be to the fact that a Western journalist has flown all the way to Moscow and done this very long interview with President Putin? How do you think he's going to feel?
Well, first of all, nothing of what Putin said is new for us. I think President will feel that it is again another leap of Russian propaganda. And it is dangerous because, the war comes in many ways. It happens on the battlefield, but it also happens in the media. It helps in the cyberspace, and it helps in the different ways of influencing people's minds. So as a propaganda item, it is a dangerous one.
OK, Kira Rudik, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
How many views does Tucker Carlson have? How many followers does he have?
Well, a lot. Quite a lot, because he used to be on Fox News and then he got ditched from Fox, didn't he?
We don't quite know why, do we?
No, I'm not entirely sure.
Fell out with Fox.
But what I can't understand, this is where the nuances there are a lot of nuances in all of this. And one of them within American politics at the moment is, why is it those who seem to be more to the right, who traditionally would have been, looking out for the Reds and all that during the Cold War, are now actually wanting to pair up with Russia more? I don't quite understand.
I'm not sure pair up is the right word, is it? No, but there's... Get to know.
But there is this...
Cozy up to.
Cozy up to, then. There is this sort of thought that, Putin's this great man.
You're right, you're
let's
quite
be friendly
right.
with him.
50-odd years ago, they were, yelling about Reds under the bed, weren't they? I don't know. The world keeps changing. And the other thing is that it's almost as though the next election in America particularly, but also the sort of control of the narrative, is not coming from mainstream media anymore. It's coming from people with enormous followings, almost influencers on X or Twitter and social media platforms. Which is a worry.
It is a worry. There may be those of you who say, well, why shouldn't someone like, I mean, he is a renowned journalist, and things operate very differently in the States in terms of journalism. However,
he's not an acclaimed journalist. He's a renowned. But
he's gone into this with an agenda. That's the issue. You see, we would never do that over here. I mean, certainly me and Anne wouldn't do that. You go to do an interview to get information out of someone and to challenge them if necessary.
And to challenge them, yes.
Whereas what this seems to be pushing an agenda, really, and then it's an agenda I don't quite understand.
Well,
very odd.
The agenda seems to be, I know best. Follow me, make me famous. It's my agenda. They're setting their own stall out. It's all about them, isn't it?
It's all they want to be almost political leaders themselves.